Hello everyone and happy holidays. Welcome to the first ever Ultra League edition of Driver or Car, a series where we take a team of a champion and we see how a regular PvPer like myself can handle it. And this time we're going to go travel way across the globe to the Oceania region, and we're going to take a team suggested by ValiantVish. ValiantVish was the 2023 Brisbane Regional Champion, and he also was a two-time Worlds competitor. And his team consists of Nidoqueen, Mandibuzz, and Poliwrath. Now, I talked to ValiantVish a little bit about the team composition, getting some suggestions on how to play this team, and what he told me was this is a standard ABB lineup, with the Bs being both weak to specific Pokemon like fairies. He did say if you think that there is a fairy in the back, go ahead and bring out that Mandibuzz to lure it out, and then you should be able to clean up very nicely with the Poliwrath in the back. He also suggested to stay in positive and neutral leads with the Nidoqueen in the front, and also don't be afraid to soft lose with the Nidoqueen and come in with the Poliwrath just to gain a counter or two extra advantage, because either Scald or Icy Wind is going to be pretty effective no matter what is in the back line. Alright, with those things in mind, let's go ahead and get started. So as you can see on the right hand side, we have the teams and also the movesets that they are running. The Nidoqueen is running Poison Jab as its fast attack, with Poison Fang and Earth Power as its charged attacks, and Mandibuzz, which I would recommend you Best Buddy just to give it a couple more stages of bulk, even though it really almost doesn't need it in the Ultra League because that bird is tanky. We're running it with the fast attack Snarl, and then also with the charged attack Aerial Ace and Dark Pulse. And lastly, we're going to use the newly buffed Poliwrath. It's going to be running Counter as its fast attack, with Icy Wind and also Scald as its charge attacks. So the first team we have is the Tapu Fini. This is, it's not like a bad lead at all, but obviously the Poliwrath nor the Mandibuzz doesn't want to face it, so forced to stay in with the Nidoqueen, going ahead and lowering the defense of the Tapu Fini by throwing that Poison Jab, and I'm going to shield up the Surf because it's super effective. They swap in the Mandibuzz, so since I'm already ahead on energy, I go ahead and throw a Poison Fang just to soften it up a little bit, to get that defense a little bit lowered on the Mandibuzz, and then I come in with my own just to soak all of this energy. Again, my Mandibuzz is Best Buddied, as you can see, it's got the little ribbon, but it is not a 100, it's not a 15-15-15, so it's not going to be able to tank things as well as the opposing Mandibuzz. However, since I did get that Poison Fang in, and look at these Aerial Aces are not doing much at all, I'm able to go ahead and tank most of this. They swap back in their Tapu Fini, but this is okay for me. So I'm going to go ahead and just pretty much aggressively snarl down, even though it's not doing that much. That Surf is not going to be able to take me out, and now I'm just come out of this matchup with not a lot of health, but a ton of energy. So back comes in that Mandibuzz. I have two Aerial Aces stored. You definitely want to be throwing the Aerial Aces because Mandibuzz is part Dark, and obviously the Dark typing is not going to be doing that much. In comes a Toxicroak. Toxicroak is kind of difficult for the Poliwrath, but the Poliwrath is full health, and I have Icy Wind on it, so I'm going to be able to lower the attacks here. So now the counter damage nor the mud shots are going to be doing, or the mud bombs are going to be doing as much damage. I'm able to get to a Scald even here, and they don't shield it. Look how much that does. That Toxicroak is nearly gone. In comes the Nidoqueen. I am going to shield this up because it's super effective, but this Poison Jab is enough to take it out. And even though this is a foul play, I'm going to go ahead and just let it go down. I do want to point out in that last matchup that the opposing Mandibuzz was running Foul Play as its charge attack instead of Dark Pulse. This is also okay, it just depends on how you want to play it out. Foul Plays will be able to be a bit spammier, and you'll be able to get to the charge attack just a little bit quicker, but Dark Pulse obviously hits a little bit harder, and you'll see that, you saw it in the Tapu Fini, and then you'll also see it in some later matchups. Next matchup with the lead of a Charizard, what I like to try to do is I'm going to go ahead and soften it up, and I'm going to try to catch a Blast Burn on the Mandibuzz as well, because again, like we talked about, it just has a lot of bulk. So I am able to do that here. This Blast Burn goes through, and now I'm just gaining up a lot of energy. Also trying to keep track of Charizard energy, which is one of the most difficult things. I'm going to bait with this Aerial Ace, and I get the shield, and I know that this is most likely another Blast Burn, but look, I'm able to survive it and forcing them to now throw a Dragon Claw to be able to knock me out. In comes that Nidoqueen again. I maybe should have waited out the switch timer, but that's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and soften this up, and I'm going to come back in with that Poliwrath. I do have 2 shields. The defense is lowered on the Giratina, and I shield that up just in case it's a Shadow Sneak, because it's going to be doing the most damage now before I am able to get to an Icy Wind. So I'm counting, I'm going to throw right before the next Dragon Claw. So now these Dragon Claws that are coming in are not going to be hitting as heavy. As you can see, I'm able to get to yet another Icy Wind, and I'm forcing them to either shield or let the Giratina go down. They do let it go down, and I see it's a Virizion, and this is going to be difficult because the Leaf Blade is going to be doing nice damage to both the Poliwrath and the Nidoqueen. As you can see here, this Leaf Blade would be enough to knock me out, so using my last shield, I am able to get off this Poison Fang. And now it back comes in the Charizard, and I was like, I know I can't let that Charizard get too much energy. I'm going to have to take it out with the Poison Fang, and now it is another race here. I'm just trying to do as much as I can to get this knocked down. A Leaf Blade knocks me out, but I am only 2 counters away from Icy Wind. I'm able to get to it, and I'm just praying that this is enough. Prayer answered. Down goes the Virizion. Oh, and side note, it's actually Virizion, but I can never say that right, so just wanted to let you all know. Virizion. Let's move on to the next battle here. Giratina lead, I just automatically swap into the Poliwrath. The Mandibuzz is better against it, but I am hoping that he will eventually swap out as well, and that way, you know, I can match them up later. This Icy Wind goes through, so now the attack will not be doing as much from the Giratina. I am in the yellow, and they are staying in, which is kind of interesting to me. I go ahead and count and throw right before the next Dragon Claw goes through, and I know it won't be able to knock me out, but I mean, I am getting pretty low, and the next Dragon Claw will be able to knock me out, I think. They go ahead and throw it, and this Giratina has stayed in the whole time. So I'm just coming in with the Mandibuzz here, and I'm going to completely snarl down again. This is an ancient power, but since it's double debuff, look how little that did. Again, coming out with a ton of energy on the Mandibuzz, and in comes a Registeel. I remember this game. This game is fun. So I swapped into the Nidoqueen, and they swapped into a Poliwrath. Poliwrath usually has a pretty good lineup against the Nidoqueen. I mean, it's not super favorable to either. However, I had like 3 Poison Jab advantages. So the Icy Wind does knock down my attack. However, defenses are lowered from my first Poison Fang. My second one goes through, forcing them to shield. I'm also going to go ahead and shield this up because, as you can see, it's super effective damage. I'm now double debuffed, but so are they in the defenses. They're forcing the shield again, and I combo play it here, and I take an Aerial Ace to take out the Poliwrath. Now it is Mandibuzz versus Registeel, which highly favors the Registeel here, but I'm going to go ahead and get as much damage in as possible. They do it through a Zap Cannon, which doesn't have a 100% chance to debuff, but it did debuff my attack. And I'm just like, I probably should have thrown this first. I thought for some reason I won Charge Attack priority, but I don't. And now I'm really wondering, I was like, oh, I hope this Focus Blast doesn't take me out because I'm not sure if it's even in Earth Power range. So I throw this Poison Fang first just to soften it up. I see that the timer is almost up, but I'm able to get to this Earth Power right before the timer goes up, taking out the Registeel right as the count goes down to 0. Close game, and I probably should have lost that game. I should have thrown the Dark Pulse first, just to soften up that Registeel even more with that Mandibuzz, and then the Earth Power from the Nidoqueen would have been able to take out the Registeel no matter what. I left a little bit too much health on the Registeel, and but I knew that if I threw the Earth Power first, that I would still have to get to another attack anyway. So that was the reasoning for how I did, or why I did what I did. Luckily, it worked to my favor. The next game is going to be up against a Jellicent, and I'm already going to tell you, I do not know how to play out the Jellicent matchups. I asked Vish how he liked to play out this against a Jellicent because the team is rather ABA weak to Jellicent, and he said that he's also not sure what the definite way is to play it. Sometimes he likes to stay in and hit the Earth Power first and then catch the second Surf on the Mandibuzz, and sometimes he just swaps straight into Mandibuzz and sees what happens. Little spoiler alert, I didn't do either of these, and second spoiler alert, I lost. But let's go ahead and get into it. I see they're even flexing this Jellicent. It's a beautiful shiny. I know that the Earth Powers are going to be able to hit at least a decent amount, but the Surfs are also super effective against the Nidoqueen. So as you can see, I'm already down to the yellow. I let the first one go through. and I've hit the Earth Power, and they also let it go through. So as you can see here, I'm going to try to catch the Surf. I was clicking on the Mandibuzz, but unfortunately, I just didn't do it in time. They threw while I was in the middle of my animation. And so now I'm used both of my shields here. I'm going ahead and throwing this Earth Power. I am able to knock out the Jellicent, so I'm feeling decent about that. But they do have 2 shields, and in comes a Dragonite. And this is going to be difficult for my team. I try to soften it up now with using that Poison Fang, but I'm in kind of a pickle. In comes a Talonflame, and again, this is not great for me because no matter what, the Flame Chargers aren't going to be doing much of the Poliwrath, but most likely the secondary attack is going to be Fly, or it's going to be Brave Bird, which is going to be doing a lot of damage to Poliwrath because it is part fighting. Meanwhile, they're just going ahead and getting a ton of extra boost, the Flame Charge after Flame Charge here. I let another Incinerate go through, but I wanted to try to get that before my Mandibuzz went down. They used both of their shields on the Talonflame, and as you can see, a double boosted Fly just did so much. I didn't even bother doing anything at that point and letting them take me out. If you have an idea of how to play out a Jellicent lead, go ahead and let me know in the comments because I really like this team, and when Ultra League is viable, it's definitely the team that I am going to be playing. The next matchup we have is going to be against a Golisopod. I think that the Golisopod is one of the most fun Pokemon to use, and I'm guessing that it's running Liquidation here. They're doing it right as I get to my Poison Fang, so I'm going to go ahead and soften it up, and we'll see how to play it out from there. Normally, what I like to do is I catch the second one on my Mandibuzz, but they go ahead and did the favor for me here and swapped in the Giratina. Even though this is an Ancient Power, and again, you can see it's super effective, Mandibuzz still in the green and just being able to snarl away now at a Dark Pulse. A second Dark Pulse will definitely be enough to knock it out. Meanwhile, this Ancient Power has only brought me down to the yellow. I'm just charging up a ton of extra energy here. Since this Giratina is on Shadow Claw, it's going to be generating energy quickly, but as you can see, the Mandibuzz does outpace there. Going to be able to now throw these Dark Pulses at the Muck as well. This Muck is running Poison Jab as his fast attack, and it looks like it's just going to try to completely farm me down here. I am able to get to yet another Aerial Ace just for a little bit of chip damage, and this Muck is coming out fully loaded here, but not a lot of health left. So the first Dark Pulse goes through, as you can see. I'm assuming it's running Thunder Punch, so I'm just going to absorb all that energy on the Poliwrath. In comes the Golisopod, and I'm going ahead and making a prediction that it's an Aerial Ace, and it is. So I shield that one up because I know that I can get to an Icy Wind before the next one goes through. And now, no matter what, even though this is super effective and I have no Protect Shields, I'm still in the green after this. I'm going to completely try to counter down. I am able to do so, and even though they have a shield left, they don't have a lot of health. I'm going to go straight for that Scald. They don't shield it, and down goes the Muck. Had a lot of luck with the Muck. Okay, the last matchup I'm going to show is going to be a Dragonite, a Shadow Dragonite, and it's running Dragon Tail instead of Dragon Breath, so it's a 3-turn fast attack rather than a 1-turn fast attack. I am able to throw this Poison Fang, and they shield it up, so I go ahead and catch whatever this is. I'm assuming it's going to be a Dragon Claw on the Mandibuzz. In comes an Ampharos, so at least I kind of lured out the electric type Pokemon here. I'm throwing the Dark Pulse. As you can see, it does a healthy chunk, and I will be able to get to another one here. They're throwing the Thunder Punch, but as you can see, my Mandibuzz can tank it. I go for one more Snarl before throwing this Dark Pulse, and now their Ampharos is super low. It does have a move stored here. I'm going to go ahead and let that go through. It's just a Brutal Swing, and I know that this is a Brutal Swing as well, but as you can see, it doesn't take me out, and I immediately swap back my Poliwrath just to get a little bit of extra energy, but they swap out as well back into that Dragonite. I go ahead and shield up that attack, and I was seeing if I could counter down, realized I couldn't, had to throw this Icy Wind, and they let it go down because they wanted to keep their shield. So we'll have to see what comes back in here. It's going to be a fully healthy Skarmory here. We do both have shields, and the nice part about Skarmories nowadays is they're running Steel Wing instead of the Sky type attack. So the Sky attack goes through here. I am able to get to another Scald. I'm counting because it takes 7 Steel Wings to be able to get to it. I do get the attack debuff as well, and I'm forcing them to throw here. It looks like they're not going to throw, so I'm able to get to the Earth Power to knock it out, and now this Poison Jab will be able to take out the Ampharos. So that's ValiantVish's Ultra League team in a nutshell. The first time I did try it, I ended up going 4-1 in the first set and 5-0 in the second one. It always takes a bit of time to get used to a new team, so I would definitely try it if I were you. If it doesn't work for you right away, maybe give it another set or two, but obviously this is not for everyone. I will say in this episode of Driver or Car, however, this car is a pretty nice model. Thanks again for watching, everyone. I hope everyone has a really nice holiday season. I hope you guys are climbing well in your ELO as well. That's a pretty great gift, and we will see you in the next year.